Holy dude. My gosh.
My presentation is about UFOs and ufology in Romania, and it is for the Euronews partners. The UFO phenomenon exists also in all regions of Romania: Transylvania, Moldavia, Wallachia, Maramureș, Banat, etc. In sightings, in traditions and faiths. The first, it was in the year 1517. It is in a chronicle, an old chronicle is written then, a great sign was seen in the sky. It was glowing in the northern sky and looked like a human face. Maybe it was northern light, I think, because from time to time in Romania, we can see northern light. But much more interesting is the next. In 1595, it was a military fighting. The Wallachia was the southern part of Romania, and the prince of this part was Michael the Brave. He fought against the Turks. The Turks occupied all Wallachia. Michael the Brave gone in Transylvania and returned with more army, with helps and so. The Turks occupied the city of Târgoviște, capital of Wallachia, and when the siege was, in one evening, it was a large comet above the military camp for more than an hour or an hour and a half. The war correspondents from different kings and so to see what will the end of this siege, they wrote, and it is in several letters mentioned that kind of comet. A comet, when it is really a comet, he should be seen several evenings or mornings in the almost the same place in the sky for maybe 1 week or 2 weeks, and it could be seen from almost everywhere. Or in Europe, we had a lot of astronomers in those times. It's no mention of any comet in Europe, and of course, not even in Târgoviște, only for 1 hour or 1 hour and a half in that day. It was kind of sensation because here we have an engrave made after, many years after that fighting, and here you can see in the sky the comet. It was described like this siege. In a church in the city of Sighișoara in Transylvania, it's a Lutheran church. There is a painting, very interesting, with a kind of church and with an object above it. The object, we can discuss what it means, but it seems like a UFO. It's not exactly clear when was made this painting, but it is after the Lutheran Church was accepted in Transylvania. Other sightings before 1800, There are more than 60 sightings uh, gathered from different sources, and many in the 19th century and many after. One interesting case in 1913, 9 military reports and 14 newspaper articles mention a flying object with a powerful searchlight. It was above military camps. They supposed it was an airplane. But in those times, in January 13, no batteries were available for a big search light, and if available, it was too heavy for the airplanes in this moment. So it is difficult to accept it was an airplane because of the heavy um, uh, equipment necessary, too heavy for the airplanes of that moment. Of course, after 1, 2, 3 years, it was a development. It was completely changed. But in 13, in January, it was almost impossible. We had two people gathering a lot of sightings and including them in their books, mainly Johobana and Călin Turcu. We had also some other authors, but the two are the most important. We have not too many sightings each year. It's because we have not the means to convince people that it's something which is useful to be reported. And also, we had not people gathering such kind of stories. But in 1968, it was kind of wave with 94 sightings. It is a maximum for that period. The most important were near Cluj. Now it's the name of the city was changed in Cluj-Napoca, but in those times it was Cluj. Nearby, it is a forest, Hoia Baciu forest. It's a mystery forest with many stories, but it's not necessary to discuss now about. But in this forest, 4 people were in a Sunday just to lunch, to be there for to eat something in the woods, and appeared that object. We have 2 photos is about here. Emil Barnea had a photo device with him and made 5 photos. In 3 of them, you can recognize the object. In 2 others, is too small. The photos were sent in different parts in Europe and analyzed and appeared in articles like in Lumière dans la nuit in France, or in Acapulco Congress, and so on. It's so-called genuine because nobody had an alternative explanation. Another interesting case, I tried to present different kinds of cases because there are much more, we have much more number. In August 1991, an airline, and a big one, crashed in the Retezat Mountains, uh, starting from Bucharest, going to Timișoara. The Retezat Mountains are 2/3 from Bucharest and 1/3 to Timișoara, quite high mountains, but it was completely inexplainable. Why? Because the pilot was an experienced one. In the airplane, it was a cargo, and it was only the crew. But the pilot was discussing with the airport, and he told, yes, we see the airport of Timișoara. It's inexplainable how they could see that. We prepare to land, and in the next minute it was, what's this? And it disappeared because they entered the mountain. It was a mistake, of course, a tragic one. 9 people died, but we made an interesting correction. Several days before that tragic accident, in a local newspaper appeared a short story about a group of 2 mountain rescue persons and some hikers. It was a small group going through a high point of the same mountains. It was a routine activity, but when they were at a certain altitude, it was because they were a bit late. It was evening and dark, and they saw some lights moving, and they stopped. They had a binocle to see better, and they described it was like a sphere with something around. But in a very short time, there were tens or even hundreds of them in a certain valley, making some movements like now, after more than 30 years, is possible with drones. So to make some configuration, the lights arrange themselves like streets of a city, and eventually like a runway in an airport. So maybe it was the same phenomenon ahead of the pilot, and he had the impression that is the airport, and crashed in the mountain. So it's, and also in the same moment, there were many other strange things, even a close encounter of third kind and so. The first Romanian UFO books were published by Jon Hobana with Julian Wevenberg from Netherlands. And first they published in Romanian, and after they published in Flemish, I think, and after in English. Book changed with some plus and minus cases. It was a very provoking title, UFOs from Behind the Iron Curtain, translated later in French and Spanish. And it was the first book published by somebody about UFOs in the Soviet countries, in the Eastern Europe. Also, another author was Florin Gheorghiță from Iași. He was also a very prolific writer in UFOs. Here, the Romanian book and the English one. Ion Hobana, he was chief journalist for Communist Party main newspaper, so he had that possibility to go abroad. It was almost nobody could go abroad in Romania in those times, and to have friends, to have cooperation, and of course he had a lot in Russia, and so he had friends, ufologists, to gather some other stories. He was quite popular because he was also ET writer, science fiction writer about, and he organized in 71 at the Culture House of the University students in Bucharest. Students were in a huge organization and they had a quite nice culture house. And at the beginning, they had almost or more than 100 people interested in UFOs. It was for 2, 3, 4 years, but the politics in Romania in 71 was more permissive. In 73, 74 was more closed. So maybe they told Hobana that it's better to not to expand this endeavor. So the scientific UFO circle finished in 74, 75. One of the members, Călin Turcu, a high school professor, organized in a small city, Vălenii de Munte, an informal group called RUFOR, Romanian UFO Researchers. It was organized in 77 and it was active until 87. It was not terminated, but they had regular meetings, not too often, but at least once a year they met from different parts of Romania, but it was no meeting after 87. What was interesting, between 79 and 86, they published 27 issues of a samizdat UFO magazine. Typewriter was made in several copies, only several copies. We in our organization have a complete list of these numbers of RUFOR magazine. It was on A4 sheets, paper sheets, with a normal typewriter. It was, I suppose they were followed by Securitate, they were interested, but they not consider that like a dangerous activity. They had in those times many much more dangerous dissidents in Romania, so it was accepted somehow, not officially, but without reactions. In 94, 96, some members of the same group published in another city in Romania, in Târgu Mureș, the only widely marketed Romanian UFO magazine. It was everywhere in Romania, and I paid to receive this magazine. They had 21 monthly issues, but after that they were forced to stop because of economic situation. Generally, they distributed and it was no money back because it was a period many people wanted to start something and it was not going and forgot about. So it was not another reason, only the economic reason, and they were not in the position to continue to publish. It was the only printed UFO periodical in Romania in all history. In 98, Hobana, with myself and an astronomer who was working, who was the chief of a small popular astronomy observatory in center of Bucharest. It was also only for teaching purposes, but with him we organized an association. We needed to have, it was the law in those moments, 21 member and appointment of different bureaucratic association, no, authorities, for example, at the Ministry of Research and Mayor of Bucharest. And we had the approval, official approval, like a non-political and non-business association. And first chairman was Ion Hobana. I was the vice chairman. We had a site, and we have that site. It's not very well feed, but it's okay. In two languages, English and Romanian. We have monthly working meetings, so we have 26 years now. But we had monthly meetings all those times. We have a collection of magazines, for example, the two types of RUFOR magazine, research files, and nearly 1,000 books, 260 in a public library. It was Călin Turcu who wanted to have a public UFO library. He died before having this possibility. The family gave us around 600 books. We added some other books, and because he wanted to have a public library, we made an arrangement with the Library of Bucharest. Bucharest have the mayor of Bucharest have a public library, and in that public library we had a corner with UFO books. In recent years, we organize also ufology courses. Here you have the invitation for the 24-25 ufology course. It will have 14 lessons of 1 hour presentation, 1 hour discussions. We had many encounters, meetings. This is from one of them. We have many pictures like this. I choose this because it's only Romanian cosmonaut, General Dumitru Prunariu, who is very open toward us, and he told us some stories, not from his personal encounters, but with what maybe Russian cosmonauts told him absolutely privately, and told him, yes, I can tell that to you, but not to my chiefs, because I want to fly in the cosmos. And if I will say this, it will the finish. As far received and investigated not too many cases, we have we present here some figures. The UFO culture in Romania is not very developed. I found, for example, cases, some people in villages, they saw some inexplainable lights. And I asked, for example, a peasant woman, what do you think it was? What? Signs from the God. And they finished. They had an explanation. So it's not it's not even sensational. It's not something to be reported somehow, somewhere. Sometimes they see some signs. Here we investigated some at least 3 sightings from the Bucharest Otopeni Airport, and here you have some frames from a film, more than 2 hours. It was no movement, no airplanes in that period of time in the night, and it was a globe on the runway, a bit above the runway, for more than 2 hours. So it's, and we had discussions with the witnesses and so. This is another frame from another film, a commercial film made in the city of Râmnicu Vâlcea, and for 1.41 seconds, a light is going from one hill to another hill and disappears, and 4 kilometers. And frame by frame also had this form. Of course, it is a bit too much enlarged, so it's a discussion. Maybe it was not exactly this form. Another example, in 2012, a guy from Ploiești sent me more than 10 pictures about an object which was flying a short distance from him, and he made a lot of pictures, and here you have 3 different pictures. A very interesting case, this meteorologist was a member of ASFAN. He was an engineer and meteorologist at the radar for thunderstorm formations and things like this. And this radar had the possibility to go at the distance of 300 kilometers around Bucharest. And he observed in the night a huge object 30 kilometers above the city of Sofia, capital of Bulgaria, and observed this object for a while. After it disappeared, reappeared in another night. He was each 3 nights, he was in shift. Once he wanted to observe more and fixed the radar on the object, and the object disappeared immediately and was descending at 5 kilometers above Sofia. When he fixed in the new position, he was going up at the initial position. These observations were made 3 years from time to time, not always. Also, once it was seen here, and in several seconds was above Varna, at the seaside of Bulgaria. that object, he told me, yes, we can see with the radar some boats on the sea. And in Romania, there were some huge petrol carrying boats. And he told there it was the echo like from such several hundreds meters big metallic object. Here I am in the left, and in right, a guy who is associated member of ASFAN. He is in Arad, and he is leading a local TV station. I discovered that a pilot, old pilot here, it is in 2014, made this picture. He had 80, I don't know how many years now, he's passed away. And he told us he was MiG pilot on military MiG in 60s, even in 50s started. And he had 4 encounters. I resume only one. He was in an exercise with another colleague, 2 MiG fighters, and it was by night, very bright moon, and some clouds, but they were above the clouds, so it was very, very well lighted, and he saw an object in face of them, maybe like a football field. And it was a sketch he made about how was that object. And he wanted not to say anything because he had problems before when he saw another UFO and was invited to sign a lot of papers, and he wanted not to say now anything about. And but his colleague told, what's that? It's nothing. Uh, how nothing? But it's a huge so and so. And he, is the commander of the team, was now obliged to report to the ground. Yes, it's a UFO, so and so. They ordered to fight toward the UFO. He was scared and told, yes, I should immediately go back to the airport because I have no more fuel. Yes, the colleague could shoot to the colleague told, when I wanted to shoot, the object disappeared. Our guy was descending and discovered the object was behind him. He reported an object is behind him. Yes, but try to take behind. It's a game with the fighters. And he followed the object until was seeing Belgrade at the ground, because it was no more cloud, and it should return to the airport. Belgrade was in Serbia, but it was quite close. So we have this case. Another case in Mihai Cogălnicianu military airport in 89, with more than 10 pilots witnesses. I have here two of the witnesses. The second is in a UF conference organized by ASFAN. It was something like this. This is a painting. These are the pilots and Air Force Regiment 57. It was a huge object. One, I had the occasion to talk only with four of them, of the witnesses, and each had another story. One that it was one huge object with lights, other that was a formation of lights, not connected. So, but it was, however, something very interesting. And also, our cosmonaut was at the center, the military center in Bucharest, where the guys from north of Constanța reported, and he heard when they reported, yes, we have an object so and so. Another case is in 92 near the city of Buzău. Three military helicopters started an exercise. I don't know if you see the map. Started here and had to make this triangle. But when they were here, a huge red object appeared near them. They estimated 20 meters diameter, a globe. And this was the commander of the group and was disposed to talk. He told, I don't understand why we should keep this secret. Another now lieutenant colonel, he was an officer at the airport near the radar following the exercise. And he saw on the radar the three helicopters with three people each inside, and the huge object near them. The commanders of the airport, seeing this, told, yes, immediately stop the exercise and go back. There were 9 witnesses, 3 in each helicopter, and also witnesses on the ground. In the next day, the general who was the commander of, it was a military school somehow, he told them, gentlemen, yesterday we have seen nothing. Understood? And they accepted to not talk until after 25 years. There are some other military cases, several transmedium cases related to lakes, landings, a small number of close encounters of third and fourth kind, but always 2 or 3 cases. So it's not. I discuss at least cases myself examined somehow. There have bedroom visits, genetic manipulations. This is not verified by me, but it's written. Temporal anomalies, target families, and so on. As I know, the first close encounter of the third kind was in 39. It was this guy here, a very clever, and his doctor, PhD in geology, and worked all his life in a research institute for petrol. And he told me that when he was 9 years old, with several other boys in the summer. They were playing on a field, not too far from Bucharest, near a village. And I made this, so these sketches are made by me, but in his presence. I changed until he told, yes, it was like this. I'm sure it was not like this, but it's something similar with. It was an object like this egg coming down vertically with a kind of door and two guys descending, two quite small ones, and in the first moment ignoring the children. The children ran away, except two of them, including this Mr. Pârvu, and made like a research on about the field, about the grass, and so, with an object like this here in right low corner. The children were excited. They wanted to get closer, but they discovered a wall, an invisible wall, and it was impossible to get through that invisible wall. The two visitors made like the Japanese kind of greeting, and the children supposed it was a Japanese airplane making an exercise in Romania. This was many years. This was their idea. It was something Japanese. Another case is in Farcaș Mountains. This is above 2,000 meters here. And they made a strategic road. And in those times, to make strategic roads, they used some military people. So it was a group of maybe 20 military working on this road with a chief. And they were in 2 or 3 nights so scared by a huge apparition of 2 meters, and there are no bears in the region, no place for bears, but something like a bear. And they were so scared that the 20 military deserted the workplace and were going away to another many kilometers away. There are many stories, and the case I was closest was in 96 in village of Cercest, is in Moldavia, southern Moldavia. A policeman and the night guard doing a night patrol had a close encounter with 3 humanoids. The guys are, this is the policeman, the photos are made by me, and this is the police station behind him. It's a village, and it's a village police station. You can see here, it's a very good road for high speed, but near the road, in both sides, are ditches, very deep ditches, with some bridges. Here is the other part with another bridge here. So the policeman told the night guard, yes, I want to make home because nearby was his home to eat something, and I am coming back in minutes. When he was away maybe 20 meters, he heard something and saw some lights and told, yes, it is a control from the chiefs and I should go back. It was controlling the night patrols. And when he was going back, saw something like an automobile, but closer it was like a hat, like here, with some lights going around, red and blue or green, white light behind. It was half of a meter above the ground, and three people like this. I'm sure it was not like this, but this is the it was not made by me. It was made by some other person for a newspaper. And the policeman told me, yes, I was seeing only one. And from behind, the night guard, a very primitive person with only 6 classes. He told, yes, when I saw how ugly they are, I told myself they are not our folk. And he hid himself behind the bridge in the ditch. They told me everything was maybe 30 seconds, no more. The object was going up. All the lights in the village were extincted. And when the object was going, immediately everything was okay. I made a small question. Were they coming down from that object? Nobody had answer. I don't know. They were all already there. Okay. And when he was going up, where they entered the object? I don't know. They were no more there. So I supposed there were some gaps in their memory, but no one had watch to be exactly about the timing. It was made an article in EuroUFO about. In ASFAN, we have the general opinion that the UFO phenomenon does not represent extraterrestrials from other planet, but maybe there is something non-human we discuss about. What we are, or almost, I am almost absolutely convinced, is that it's closely related to folkloric characters such as fairies, and also to religious apparitions. I am fan of Jacques Vallée, who was the first to describe this hypothesis, and he made very interesting parallels with UFOs and Virgin Mary apparitions. I wanted to see if in Romania we have something similar or not. And I discovered that yes, we have, but not with Virgin Mary, but with an old man with a white bird. we had in 20th century almost 10 cases. Some of them I discussed with the witness, and some others are very well known in Romania. Many papers wrote about, and always had this some features exactly as in the UFO apparitions. But why Virgin Mary and man with a white bird? For me, is almost sure that it is possibly an archetype from the collective unconsciousness. So it's Virgin Mary for Catholics, is God himself with white bird for Orthodox, which is the majority in Romania, and which is an archetype in the collective unconscious. It's a clue to go with the explanations what is really happening with the UFO phenomenon. We have some not very spectacular it's one, but we have several others. Circles in grass, in crop, but many more in grass. And it is population has immediately the answers. The fairies danced a round dance by night in this place, and that's all, with lights always. So we have about the round dance of fairies and the remains in grass from an author, Romanian author, 300 years ago. It was a Romanian prince of Moldavia and also member of the Academy of Berlin. So he's a quite interesting person. And he describing some things from Moldavia. He also mentioned this round dance of fairies. Here we have another case. The lady is he ran for the elections in Romania and was on the second place. But because they discovered some interference from the Russians, everything was stopped. Before making politics, the lady was working in a TV, and I was quite close with her. And I had a case in northern Moldavia about made of woods, a fairy which is common in that region. When she asked me if I can give her a good case to make a film, I told, go in that place, and I made the connection with the main witness. It's a very long story, but she made the film. The film was very interesting in Romania, had as witness also the mother of this guy. And they described, for example, an encounter with such kind of UFO, and the mother saw the maid of woods descending from the UFO and going back. The witness was teenager in that period. He was maybe inside the UFO for a while, but he had also some other encounters in the woods with the maid of woods. The guy, starting when he had he was 6 years, and he was playing with the children of Maid of the Woods. Maid of the Woods having 2.5 meters or more, blonde and so. So we have some cases connecting UFOs with folkloric figures. This is another witness who was obliged to be tested for 15 years, and from time to time was going to he told me, yes, instantly was in another place, an ugly place, when he received some messages and he was asked some questions, and there were different characters, including a very light person, or not person, because it had not human form. And I asked him to make a sketch. How was this? He told me, yes, imagine flames like this, and maybe tens of flames like a surface covered with such kind of flames. And some interesting ideas about, for example, yes, we are here, but we will not interfere with you. And if you want to destroy yourself, they are free to do so. And some other ideas. The guy is a very simple guy. He was for Meister in a factory, but it was a military factory with explosives. So he was tested by psychologists, of course, and he told me, yes, it was absolutely real. And after that 15 years of tests, everything stopped, and I had no other sign from them. We have UPARTS, an object found in Transylvania in a quarry. It's an aluminium object, very roasted, and the aluminium can be roasted so much only in hundreds of years. But the aluminium is made only quite recently in industry. So different discussions. In ASFAN, we included some cases in books, magazines. I am writing in a quite good weekly magazine. It was very well 10 years ago. Now has 10,000 readers, and each week I have a page about UFOs. So this is my contribution. But in radio and TV shows, in many, we are asked when some UFOs are seen, myself or my colleagues. We collaborated on films presented by National Geographic and History. I published in English language UFO over Romania, translated also in German, French, Spanish, and Romanian after appeared in England, and Hyper Civilizations, both of them published by Philip Mantle in his Flying Disc Press in England. Here is the UFOs over Romania, is still in selling. Hyper Civilization, the Romanian version. And also about this book, here are 50 or 100 times more information about the Romanian UFO movement and UFOs, like I was capable to tell you today. So if somebody is interested, can buy the book. Thank you for your attention.